Okay, so today I'm going to do a video sort of review or my opinions on these earbuds, which are the Sony WF-1000XM5. I always need to think really carefully whenever I try to remember and say the model number of these things after even years of reading about them. So I think Sony should really do a better job at coming up with a better naming for their products. But just putting that aside, these earbuds, let me give you a little bit of history first. So it's always good to compare different products together, because I think whenever you test out a product in isolation and talk about it in isolation without comparing it to anything else, it's kind of hard to just make informed opinions about it, right? I mean, everything exists in an environment, so context is important. So having said that, I've been using these Anker Space One A40 earbuds for like the last 6 months. These have been my daily drivers. So I use them every day. I have these in my pocket and use them to just passively, listen to music as I'm doing work. Also listen to like Netflix and YouTube videos every now and then, and I also take them to the gym as well. So these have served me great. I bought these, I think, for Christmas or before Christmas on a special in Australia, which cost about $80 at the time. I think they retail for 130 Australian dollars, but Anker always has these on sale for about $80, $85, sometimes 70, 75. I think in the US they probably sell on special for about $40 to $50. So these are really great budget earbuds, and they have ANC 8.5-hour battery life, fast charging via the case. And just to give you a look at the earbuds as well, they're actually really nice and small. They're very smooth, very sleek looking. I think I accidentally turned on a video in a different tab. We'll come back to that a little bit later. So they have touch controls as well. So they're a really nice set of earbuds for a very, very reasonable price. I've been very happy with these. So anyways, given I've had them for about 6 months, I've started feeling the itch again for like, well, if these are so good for, such a cheap price, then how good would the more premium type of earbuds be these days, right? So I started trying out a few different models, and one of them is these Sony WF-1000XM5. So just some initial quick impressions. The case for the sound cores, I actually quite like as well. It's relatively small. It's very well built. It fits really nicely in the hand. It fits great in the pocket, and it compares really well with other earbuds I've had over the years. So these are some Google Pixel Buds Pro that I've had before as well. It's hard to get an accurate comparison here. The Pixel Bud case is obviously wider, but it's more narrow, whereas the Space One A40s are a bit thicker, but still they feel similar to hold in the hand, and they're both good quality. Compare that. I have another video on these, so I'm not going to talk about them much, but compare that to it's hard to see these, the camera doesn't focus on the white, but these are the Bose Quiet Comfort 2024 edition earbuds, and this has the most massive chunky case that I've ever seen in a set of earbuds. So these are terrible. Like, these cost much more. I think they retail for $300 Australian, whereas these retail for 120. So you would expect this to be high quality, but the case is just terrible. It's also very flimsy and wobbly, and it rattles in your pocket. So I don't know what they were thinking when they made that. So I've been quite happy with this. But then I got these Sonys to try out, and the Sony's case is actually really nice as well. So first impressions is great. It's even smaller than the Soundcore, and again, it's hard to tell exactly. Like, maybe it's similar width and height at the widest points, but overall, like, it tapers off a little bit more, and it's definitely slimmer on the side. Maybe like half a centimeter thinner, or maybe it just looks that way. It's kind of deceptive. but it feels premium and high quality. It feels very small. It fits in the pocket really well. So the case is very nice. I've been really happy with this case, right? Now taking the earbuds out as well. So let's take a little look at the earbuds. The earbuds are also very nice. They're very small. They're smaller than I expected them to be, and I think they might be even smaller than my Soundcore A40s. They're very smooth. They don't have many like nooks and crannies and other things on them that could break over time. It's mostly just one smooth earbud with this feels like some type of foam tip or maybe like phone combination tip with something else. But it's very nice. It's very premium feeling, right? So physical impressions are really good with these earbuds. Now, what else is there to talk about? We can talk about the sound and music quality on the earbuds, which again is also quite good. I've said in many of my videos that I'm not an audiophile, so I don't really pay that much, attention to being very specific about, mids and highs and all those other attributes that some reviewers and others may go into. It's a little bit like reviewing cameras back in the days when megapixels was the hot thing, and cameras were being reviewed by zooming in on photos and pixel peeping and saying that, oh, look, in this corner, as you can tell, like the pixels on the outer edge are like slightly sharper on this camera versus this other camera here, therefore this DSLR is an improvement and this lens is the better lens. And if that's your hobby and passion, that's all well and good. But if you're just like a regular consumer and you just want nice photos, I think the world has kind of moved on a little bit now, where like people are generally happy with the quality of photos from the pictures they take on their phones, right? Phones are good enough. Like point and shoot cameras have kind of the market for that has declined. There's still a market for the specialist point and shoots, like the very expensive stuff. And I won't talk too much about cameras, but I kind of feel like that used to be like a wave and a point in time where consumers were really getting into cameras a lot, until a point where phones got good enough and people just got used to like, hey, actually all the photos I take, I just share them on Facebook. I never print out any photos. I've never really zoomed in on a photo to look at like how sharp 3 individual pixels are. So I don't really care. Like the phone that's in my pocket every day that I do lots of other things with besides take photos with also happens to be good enough for photos, and I'm happy with the photos that I share. I think it's a little bit like that with sort of earbuds and headphones as well. Like, if you're an enthusiast, then yes, you can go into all the details and play around with the EQs and talk about, the responses at different frequencies and all that sort of thing, and try to really pinpoint and pick out differences. But if you're just a consumer that you listen to headphones or earbuds for many different things throughout your day, like maybe when you're on the train on the way to work, or on a bus, or on a plane for a business trip, or at a cafe, or in the library, or watching some Netflix at home on the sofa at night before you go to bed, or maybe even listening to a podcast as you're trying to fall asleep with a pair of earbuds, then I think in all those situations, you don't really need like the absolute best sound quality. I think pretty much anything good enough is good enough. And these days, like I think technology has improved so much, and miniaturization has improved so much that, anything like in this budget range is more than good enough. You really get into big diminishing returns by spending more money on things. So that was a bit of a tangent and a rant. I guess all that I was trying to say is that these sound great. You would expect them to sound great, but it's not a life-changing experience like compared to other things I've tried. So when I switch between these and back and forward, I can kind of tell that in some specific songs and music, these seem to be a little bit, they have a little bit more detail, a little bit more clarity, whereas maybe these ones sound a little bit more compressed, I would say. But it's not a big enough difference that these make me feel like I'm missing out in day-to-day life, right? So it's not a life-changing experience putting these on. You're not going to be like, teleported to a different dimension where everything all of a sudden like sounds magical. They're good, no complaints. I think one area I wanted to talk a little bit about was the active noise cancellation, or ANC. That's where kind of I had bigger expectations, because I kept hearing that the ANC on these are so good, and much better than anything else. And just reading on Reddit and other places, I kind of they have rave reviews. So let's just quickly switch to the Sony website as well, where they kind of give a little demo of the ANC. Let's see if we can get this up and running. Go to the beginning, and I'm going to play just a little bit of the video here. This is on their main website. So these retail for $300 USD, by the way. So let's play this video. Okay, so you're in a busy city, busy train station. There's lots of sounds around you, the sounds of the train, sounds of escalators, maybe people talking, and lots of other random sounds all around. Let's see what happens when you buy these and put them on and turn on the ANC.
The train now approaching platform 1 is there.
Wow. Right, that's magical. So you put these on, and these supposedly block out everything, right? They blocked out all the sounds of the trains. They blocked out the announcer making the announcement in the train station for the approaching train. They blocked out all the people talking and everything, and that's before the music even got turned on. And once you turn the music on as well, it's like you're in a world by yourself where everybody disappeared and you froze time, and it's just you and the earbuds and the music and nothing else around you, right? So that makes them like look amazing before you buy them. And just like every other ANC manufacturer website these days, I think these are false advertising, and they give the wrong expectation to people, because, well, if you know how ANC works, you should know that it's actually not possible to block out these sort of sounds and frequencies that they're making it sound like in this video it would work, and they don't, right? So you put them in, you turn the ANC on these, and it's honestly, it's not that much better than these budget earbuds I have. You struggle to tell the difference, and they only block out specific sounds and frequencies, like maybe the train in that example. Some of the sounds that train was making will block out. It will definitely not block out the screeching brakes of the train as the train was coming to a stop. They will not block out people talking. You would hear people talking just as well as not having ANC turned on with these. They will not block out that train station announcement video, or many of the other random sounds that you had in that scenario. That's not how ANC works, right? ANC only works for like long wavelength repeating sounds. So like an airplane engine, a fan, a vacuum cleaner, maybe some of the background noise of like just a busy city environment with like constant cars driving on highways and that sort of background noise. But they will not do much at all for any of those other noises. So in terms of ANC, I was not impressed with these, but maybe just because the difference between every other ANC device that I've tried is just not there. Like maybe at best these are like 10% better than these Soundcore A40s, but they definitely don't match the expectations that I would have had, and maybe the expectations that the Sony website try to portray to their customers before you buy them. So I was kind of disappointed in that. Now to try and give some closing remarks, I guess. If these two if these two earbuds cost the same amount, so if they were $80 each, yeah, I would definitely get these ones, just because they sound slightly better. not much, maybe 10% better, 15% better at best. The ANC, I don't know. I couldn't really tell, to be honest. I don't think there's a difference in the ANC. I think with the ANC, it makes a much bigger difference how well the earbuds fit your ears. And actually, one thing about that, these earbuds, I think they're slightly smaller than these ones that I have on at the moment. Although very similar, but maybe slightly smaller, or maybe the shape is slightly different. I think the shape might be a little bit more rounded around the edges and the sides here. And it's also a very, very smooth material. I think because of that, they actually don't stay in the ear that well. So like when you put them in, and a lot of it probably has to do with the shape of your ears and the size of your ears. So it becomes a very personal thing. Like whatever my experience is with these might not reflect your experience with these whatsoever. But for me, these, after you put them in, they tend to become a little bit loose, and especially if you take them to the gym and you're doing some exercises, sweaty, they come out a little bit, and then you lose the really good seal. And once you lose the really good seal, like the music and sound quality suffers, and also the noise isolation or active noise cancellation suffers a lot. So I think, just one sec. Sorry about that. I think I actually get better passive noise cancellation and better ANC from these sound cores, just because they tend to stay in my ears better. And maybe that's just a personal thing that happens to be the case for me. So, but I think because of that, I actually have a better overall experience with these. I can wear these for longer without having to continuously readjust them and try to like push them back in my ear. And also because these have touch control, these ones have touch control as well. But because I'm constantly having to adjust them, then you end up also like pausing your music or skipping a track, or skipping to the next episode that you're watching on Netflix, which becomes very frustrating. So for me, yeah, if these were the same price, it's hard to say. So again, maybe I would pick these because the sound is slightly better, but at the same time, the comfort is not as good. So I'm actually not quite sure exactly what I would do if the price was the same. But given that these were like $80 Australian and these are $350 Australian, would I pay $350 instead of $80? No way. Like there's no way that I'm getting 3 times to 5 times a better experience and better value out of these, right? Like I'm not even sure if I'll pick them at the same price. So definitely I will not pick them at 4 times the price or 5 times the price. So I'm going to stick with these. I'm going to take these on my long international trip coming up soon. And I'm just going to return these. It was great trying them out. It was great to see what the best premium earbuds have to offer at the moment. And it showed me that I'm actually not really missing out all that much from what I'm using and have been using for the last 6 months. So, if these die or break, I'll probably just buy another one and wait another 2-3 years to see what else happens with earbuds, and then try again to see how the market evolves. But yeah, that was my short review of these Sony earbuds, and with a lot of rants in between about ANC and budgets and many other things. But if you've tried this out, let me know what you think in the comments. And if you think there's other earbuds I should try out instead that maybe are just as good or better than these budget Soundcore A40s, do let me know. And I'm happy to give them a try and maybe share my thoughts on them as well.